Okay, welcome to Simple Healthy Life. And today, MJ, I'm hoping to answer the question, why do inner work? Why? We talk about it so much. We talk about focusing on our own accountability and our own shaping of our identity and ownership and responsibility and self-awareness and emotional intelligence, right? All of these things which reside within us. And why is that something that comes up often when you search for answers on how to be a better human, right? You hear it a lot. Well, got to do the inner work. Got to focus on the internal. And so for you, you're a big inner work kind of guy.
Developed into.
Yes, of course. What? Why? Why? Why?
Why? Well, I can tell you for me individually, and we've been pretty honest on this podcast, so why stop now?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like who I was. I didn't like the masks I was wearing. I didn't like the version of me that was showing up. And for a long time, I didn't know I didn't like it. And this is a weird one for me, like ignorance is bliss type thing. I didn't know I didn't like that. I just was going with the motions, going along, getting along, going along, doing whatever I was doing, whether it was just was nothing. It was nothing really of value. It wasn't that I was doing the wrong things, I don't think, but I was like putting people down all the time. I was never feeling like anybody like had any respect for me. I never really felt like I fit in or liked the people around me. I was always putting them down and saying how stupid they were, and then as well documented on the podcast, I was stumbled into the 4 agreements. And the good thing for me is I'm such an audio person that when the one be impeccable with your word came up, I started to hear the words I was using. I started to realize, whoa, I don't like those words at all. And then I started to look inward just by default because I was intentionally not using those words outwardly, and I started realizing I was using them about myself. I was saying those things about myself. And then I came to the conclusion that, whoa, I don't even like who I am. I don't like the way that the relationships are in my world. I don't like the way that I'm acting with people. I don't like me. So I started down the path of kind of inner work, as they say. Thankfully, the path found me more than I found the path, I guess. And it wasn't like a friendly, happy path. It wasn't good. I didn't enjoy it. And I still sometimes don't. But so for me, it helps me like myself more, the inner work. But it's disguised as facing all the stuff I don't like about myself instead of pushing it all down. Like actually facing it and saying things like, that current relationship that I have with the building owner is a mirror, as much as I want to put it on him for not respecting me and always talking down to me. It's a mirror. And I can acknowledge that.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think that's a very compelling reason. I think that's resonates deeply with many folks, you know, myself included. And yeah, we have full clarity to our flaws, right? We have full clarity of every time we've lied, maybe not every exact lie, but we know how much we've done it. We know the wrongs that we've done, the things that we've manipulated, the people that we've hurt, the positive actions we did for poor intentions or from poor intentions, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that clarity is terrifying for a lot of people. Very overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. It's like it's a silly analogy about the dog that sits on the thumbtack, right? And then the dog is, you're sitting on the bench and there's a thumbtack next to you on the ground, and the dog walks over and sits on the thumbtack. And the obvious the question is like, whoa, like, why doesn't the dog get up? And the answer is the thumbtack's not bothering him. He's got hair, he's got a thing, he's got thick skin. It just doesn't, it's not bothering him. And then you put a nail there. And the dog sits down on the nail and jumps up and goes, yo, oh my goodness, that's a nail, right? That's the same problem that I had. It wasn't bothering me enough that I didn't like myself. It wasn't bothering me enough that I didn't have relationships that I wanted, or the career that I wanted, or the body that I wanted. It just wasn't, until one day it was. And that's when, thankfully, again, I say that the words, the path found me more than I found the path, because I could have coped with that in any other way. We've talked about coping all the time. But ultimately, like, once you start to realize that the inner work works, that's the part that's important here. You become more willing to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest there. You went in a direction I didn't actually expect you to go, which is not unlike our conversations, but this idea of your own flaws, your own existence didn't bother you, in a sense that while you knew you were not living fully and honestly and wholesomely, it didn't seem like a problem to you. Or maybe living a virtuous life wasn't important to you for whatever reason. And so...
Well, part of it was everybody else's fault. Right?
True.
So part of it not bothering me was that I was able to say, it's not me.
Right.
It's everybody else's fault. No, they're not nice person. They're a liar. They're stupid. They're this, they're that. My boss doesn't like me. I'm not getting promoted because whatever, pick the topic. And that didn't bother me. I was surrounded by morons. No, ultimately, enough of that had come in and out, and realized these perpetual wrongings, relationships, to say, wait a minute, maybe, just maybe, it could be me. And that's when I started to listen to the words I was using. And I think people, if you're listening to this now, and I'm not pretending that you're in my shoes, but I think an important exercise is to listen to the words that you use. And if they're crossing friend groups, right? If they're crossing, from work into family, into friends, into extended family, if you're saying the same things, right? And you don't necessarily like those things, then the common denominator tends to be you, right? And one of the things that's challenging for us is that, and you said this, so I'm going to kind of steal your line here. Like, society teaches us that we need to show respect to our teachers and our friends and our family and our mom and our dad and our aunt and our uncle and people that come across and the person that served you your food. And that's a way to be a good member of society. But it doesn't start with, you need to respect you and who you are. And in fact, just saying that can probably trigger people into thinking, well, that's selfish and that's this and that's that, because society tells us that is. Like, you know what, I'm going to work on having some respect for me. Immediately people will be like, wait a minute, hold on. That's not what we do.
All right.
And the challenge is, let's say that someone's listening to this right now and they're like, you know what, I agree with you. How? Okay, how? Right? I didn't learn that when I was 6. I learned to respect my teacher when I was 6, but I didn't learn how to respect myself when I was 6. I'm now 43, and I've gone through this path, but many people haven't. And the question is, how? How do you, if you find that people aren't respecting you, quote unquote, and you boiled it down to maybe there's some level of, I don't have enough respect for myself for the reason you gave, right? I know all the times I said the wrong thing. I know all the times I did the wrong thing. I know all the times I didn't wake up when I said I was going to. I know all the times I tried to diet and failed. So all of those times have kind of like taken my self-respect down a notch, until now here I am kind of lashing out at everybody else, saying, they doesn't respect me. They don't respect me. Ryan, only respects me on Wednesdays. Making that up, right? But it's there, right? If you're listening and you're hearing this and you're thinking, there's something there. The question is how?
Right. Well, I think it has to be important enough for you. So, if you can figure out why it's important enough for you, right? Just like you said, it wasn't a bother to me in some ways because, one, I was disillusioned by my own reflections upon myself, but also, even if it were highlighted, even if it were brought to light, everyone is kind of like that. Everyone tells a little lie. Everyone has some value, self-value problems. And experience teaches us that you can show everyone in the world the utmost respect. But how can you do that when your most intimate relationship is built upon a foundation of just the opposite? Your relationship with yourself is built upon self-criticism and punishment. And yet you expect, in the naive way that you are, that you can show respect to someone else, someone less close to you. And so the core problem here is that your flaws and insecurities express themselves in tangible ways that almost continuously shape and affirm these very characteristics as central to who you are or who you believe you are. So in other words, if you have a lack of self-respect, you won't receive respect from others. You won't receive respect from the universe. If you have a lack of authenticity and honesty with yourself, you are not getting that from other people. If you view yourself as valueless, then you will not receive that treatment from others. If you don't trust yourself, people won't trust you, right? And it seems very esoteric, but the more that you recognize the connections between those insecurities, your shadows, and how the universe responds to them, the more confirmation that you get that it all happens within. It all happens within us. And that's why the inner work is so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when we say inner work, right, people might be wondering, like, what does that mean? Let's say, okay, we agree. I'm in, right? You hit all the nails. I get it. I'm not a bad person, but I could be better. I don't do the wrong thing all the time, and I try to act with intention, but I could be better. All right, we'll start doing some inner work. Okay, good. I'm in. What do I do?
I'm doing it. Doing it right now.
Right now. I'm starting tomorrow. I mean, now. No, actually, I'm going to start tomorrow.
On Monday.
On Monday. Right? Is the first coming up? It seems like it's going to take a while. I should start March 1st. Yeah. So the question is essentially, okay, what do you do? Any recommendations? Any thoughts? What have you done? What do you like to do? What's something that like helps you?
Yeah, well, I've been pretty invested upon thought, right? Intentional thought. The more that I think about it, the more I recognize that we just don't have enough time to think, right? We have these examples of people who make time to think, and, you know, these great works of art and these great writings, and they arise from a place of solitude, a place to think, you know, a quiet place. And so it's very challenging now to actually have any type of reflection. And that's super scary because we live in a time where at any moment where there's peace and quiet, it can be occupied with something entertaining. And it's not to say that I'm perfect with that by any means, trust me. However, I recognize that that's not great. The less time that you spend processing and reflecting and filling that void with just garbage information just coming in at all times. Yeah, it's so avoidant. It's excessive. Social media and tech use is equivalent to excessive alcohol abuse, excessive drug use. It's the same exact core fundamental problems that you're not allowing yourself to feel. You don't like feelings, and you're not allowing yourself to spend time alone for whatever reason. And part of that, sure, is logistics, and people will use that excuse all day long. I'm just busy. I wake up, I go to work, and then I got to make dinner, and then I got to do this, and you're right. In every moment in between, you could spend 5 minutes on your phone too. And so you don't get any time to actually actively think on what is important to you, how you've acted, what you've done, what you've said. And so you have to make that time. And if it's important enough to you, you will spend the 10 minutes in the morning. Doesn't need to be long. 10 minutes is probably more than most people spend thinking actively a day. Isn't that scary?
Oh, it's right on point though. Yeah, it's right on point. It's a very interesting thought to me though, right? When you start to train the skill of avoidance, which is something we all are great at, and then I say to you, I want you to start to do some inner work, and then you say, okay, I'm going to sit and I'm going to start to do that. When you're at the point where you've been avoiding yourself for so long, it's scary, and it's sad, and it's frustrating, and it can come through in waves that are emotional and not just tearful emotions, but anger and all of those things will be right there. It's not like a month. You know, I'll let you do some inner work. First, we're going to think about all the times we did, the right thing. Right? No, you're going to close your eyes. You're going to go, oh fuck, man, right? And then you're going to go for a second. Oh, maybe. Well, I could just pick up my phone and avoid this. I prefer to do that. And then you're going to do the thing that everybody does. You're going to compare yourself to everybody else. And in your brain, everybody else does the inner work, and they go, oh my God, look who's got sunshine and rainbows, and is there a unicorn over there? That's so nice. I think I'm going to sit here for a little while in my flowered full pasture. And then you're going to go, but in my brain, it's a dark alley that I wouldn't send my best friend down, and now I'm kind of pissed that I have to walk down this alley, and I don't really want to see what's in either side, so I'm going to put my shutters on, and I'm going to hope that the alley's short and just get to the end, and then in 10 minutes, whew, I made it. But what you've just done is you've just at least started the term of acceptance. And once you start to accept yourself for who you are, through all your flaws and your ups and downs, in the fact that you didn't know, or you did know and you still did it, or any of the things that we have to come to terms with, accept, understand, then you can start the process of becoming whoever it is you want to be. But until then, all of those things, that dark alley is still coming up. It's still lashing out. It's still showing itself. It's just not showing itself with any of your control.
Sure.
It's showing itself in relationships that aren't working out, and showing itself in tasks that aren't finished. It's showing itself in, any number of ways. And one of the things that I think I really took a lot out of I take a lot away from these podcasts, and especially our guests, and one of them was Alicia, right? And this concept of different parts of you, coming to light. More than anything, I took this concept away that you are in charge of your life from the time you were born, whether you like it or not. And when you were 8 years old, you were the CEO of your life. And you had people around you helping you and telling you what to do and making sure you didn't die, right? And showering you with love and doing all the things and with the best intentions. But ultimately, you were responsible. So, yeah, you did not the right things. And then maybe when you were, for a man or at 12 or 13, when you get your hormone spike, you did even worse stuff, whatever that was, right? You fought and treated people poorly or whatever. And then maybe when you turned 21 and you drank too much and you said some really bad stuff. And then maybe when you turn a little bit older, you still haven't figured it out, and now you're doing some really kind of mean stuff that just doesn't even feel like it's mean anymore. It's just kind of you. You're like, ugh. But until you go, okay, but now I'm 43, and now I'm here, and now I'm willing to, because I've had enough, I'm ready to start to do this work, to start to accept myself for who I am. Because as soon as you do, it starts to make the turn. It does not become rainbows and unicorns. I'm not telling you that the dungeon that you look down into your brain will flip a script and all of a sudden it's rainbows and unicorns. No. In fact, what I'm telling you is probably the best analogy ever is the stupid Shrek analogy about ogres, right? We are layered creatures. And when you get to the bottom of one layer and you go, oh, okay, fine, I'm okay with that. And then you go, I'm going to go deeper, and you peel that next one open. And you go, oh man, I really did not want to deal with that one. And then you peel the next one open, and then the next one, and then the next one, without any promise that it's going to be okay. There's no promise of happiness at the end. There's no promise of enlightenment at the end.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because often the right things to do are the hard things to do. And if you can't tolerate the hard because you're so used to escaping or avoiding, then you will never do the right thing. And you're right. I think that there is no promise of happiness. There is no promise of purpose or meaning or whatever it is from doing your work, right? Doing your inner work, facing the demons, essentially. So why? Well, because that's the only way you can actually have good control. It's the only way that you could be aligned. It's the only way that you could know in the deepest, darkest depths of your soul that you are good.
The benefit for me is that since I've been doing the work, I feel as though I get to connect with life more deeply, more in alignment with whom I want to be. And I did come to the conclusion that I'm never getting to the bottom. So I feel like that's okay. That's because for a while I was held back by the thought of, what if I get to the bottom and I don't like myself then? What do I do then? That was easily remedied eventually, to realize that there's no bottom, right? It just isn't. It's a constant path to be on, and that's what I like about it.
It's also rooted in judgment, right? I mean, that is one of your demons, right?
Yes.
This demon of like, oh, well, I do all this work and then I'm not going to like myself. No, you like yourself now. You learn to love yourself. You learn to respect yourself. You learn to treat yourself with value so that you act in those ways. If you believe yourself dishonest, guess who's acting dishonestly? You are.
Right. My fear of failure has transitioned into a constant busy schedule. Constantly busy. Busy. You got busy. And I've done the work. Okay. Where did that come from? Well, I perceived many people that were very busy to also be very successful. Right? I was looking at my former bosses. I was looking at some of my family members. I was looking at people that I believed were successful, and they were always super busy and talking about how busy they were. Busy. And I lived that life, and I'm currently living that life, and I'm working on changing that. But it's not until I realized that it's my fear of failure. I'm afraid that if I slow down, I will be seen as a failure. And that if I don't do these things, if I do fail, no one will help me. And these are like inner, the word demon's not the right word, but these are inner thoughts that were always subconsciously driving me. And they were manifesting, to your point earlier, in these other ways, right? And it's not until you do the work where you go, okay, try this if you're the audience, right? Try the "it's more likely than not" scenario. It's more likely than not that at some point along the way, I learned it's easier to avoid confrontation. Go with that one, right? It's more likely than not that I learned it's easier if I just push through and don't say anything, right? Whatever the scenario is for you. And then go, okay, is that true? Is it true that I'm afraid of failure? For me, yes. For you, maybe not. Okay, if it's true, okay. That's the part. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sure. Done. Deal. Afraid. Now I can recognize it when it comes up. It doesn't just go away. Remember, I told you that the dark alley doesn't just become rainbows and unicorns, but you can go, oh man, maybe this might be one of those things where I'm afraid that I'm gonna fail, so I'm gonna push, I'm gonna drive myself even more. All right, let's work with that.
I like that because, I say this quote often, and I love this, but you can't escape a prison unless you know you're in one. And so all work starts from awareness. It starts from recognizing that I have this problem. I am caged, right? Because if you fill your mind with all other things, it's never going to pop up into your conscious awareness, right? You're going to have all the politics popping up. You're going to have the drama between a friend group. You're going to have your skill pursuits and hobbies. You're going to have the social media trend of the week. It's going to occupy that amount of conscious space, which isn't much. They've done I don't know the math. I will have to look this up, but they've done the math on how much data your conscious awareness can contain, and it's just the smallest fraction of data. It's not a lot at all versus what is residing under the surface. We see the tip of the iceberg, but our brain is still working with its subconscious, mysteries, essentially. And all of those things, your fears, your insecurities, your lack of self-value and self-trust, those still are coming up, right? And you're still acting in accordance with them, whether you like it or not. And so you need to make time to face the prison, essentially, to turn the spotlight and say, okay, where do I actually have a problem? You know, how many people say to me, I can't spend time with myself? You know what I mean? You know how people say that? Like almost everyone that I talk with who has some sort of mental health, whatever.
Don't even take it one step further. The answer is almost everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take it like without really working too hard at it, right? Just say, okay, I struggle to spend time with myself. That's a huge step in doing the work, because the other way is keep doing what you're doing, keep avoiding it, keep waiting, and right before bed, I'm going to put my phone down right before I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm going to pick it up right when I wake up. I'm going to drive to work. I'm going to listen to a podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, when I'm not having a conversation with somebody, I'm going to fill my time. Okay. If you're doing that because fundamentally you don't want to spend the time with yourself, and we're telling you that fundamentally this is the way to a more deeply connected life, then eventually you're going to get to the point where you're sitting on the nail. And hopefully you'll remember this podcast, or you'll listen to it again and you'll go, okay. Again, no judgment. Okay. If you're 22 and you're figuring it out, awesome. If you're 55 and you're figuring it out, even better. But figure it out.
Figure it out, right? It's the worst. It's worse when, I mean, sometimes I'm talking with you too, I'm sure, talking with people who are 65 years old, 70 years old, and just haven't even begun the work. And that is tough. That is the toughest, most scary thing for me to see. I don't think that's a life. I don't think that's a very fulfilling life. Granted, who am I to decide what's fulfilling for someone else? But that's not what I want. And so I guess that's the question is, do you want to get to 75 years old and be like, I lived a disillusioned life.
Right.
And I don't have all that much time to go. I have so many wrongs to right in this short period of time. And guess what? You are forgiven. You deserve respect no matter who you are in each moment. And that's, again, you will know that if you do your work. But you have to forgive yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to work on this. I always like to think about it as our relationship to self could easily be viewed in an external sense too.
100%. This is where religion comes in, mm-hmm. right? This is where Jesus comes in.
Sure.
Right? The teachings are, he will always forgive you. He died for your sins. All you have to do is ask. All you got to do is, and this is real. Like, you got to do it though. You gotta sit down and go, okay, I'm choosing to acknowledge, not just be like, all right, I'm going to forgive myself. All right, I'm good. Right? No. I mean, for starters, it's almost like, okay, if you want to play that game, all right, start at the beginning and then start to forgive yourself for every single time you wronged somebody.
But you have to view it. You have to confess.
You got to confess. You got to go through it. You got to feel what it felt like. You got to go through all of it. And that sucks. A better way to do it would be to ask yourself, to acknowledge the fact that you do make mistakes. Okay. Acknowledge the fact that some of these mistakes weren't even mistakes. They were on purpose. Okay. Sometimes they were really even heinous and really you were trying intentionally to manipulate somebody. Okay. At least it'll bring a little bit of light down that tunnel. right? And you start to see that there's light at the tunnel, and you start to feel lighter, and your relationships start to change and start to turn, and you start to making commitments to yourself. I'm going to do better now. I'm not going to judge and freak out. And it may cry. You may cry. You may feel rage. You may feel anger. You may feel anxiety. You may feel concern. You may feel worry. All of these things, they might come up. They will come up. Okay.
Well, MJ, I have a problem because I need to get to the gym more, and I need to eat better, and I need to work, and I need to do all these things, and I just have a hard time. I have a hard enough time as is. I can barely eat well. I can barely cook for myself. I can barely go to the gym. Why add this too? That's just going to take up more time, and then it's going to really take away from the things that I find important.
Yeah. And what you just said there, which is wild, is what I started with. If you find that the same answer is coming up across friend groups, across family, across gym, across eating, across this, and it just keeps coming up across these different platforms in your own world, that's when you really want to start to do the work. Because I don't know what the reason is for you, but I do know that you just labeled 11 different platforms that the same challenge is coming up. I can't, I don't have, I'm coming from a form of scarcity or weakness or lack thereof. And I know you were giving an example, but this is what I would tell you. This is where you can start. Okay.
It's the same, it's all the same too. And these are the areas, those areas are the ones that we externally fixate on, thinking that they will solve our problems. Yet it's all the same problem. The fact you don't respect yourself. So why would you go to the gym and move your body and eat well? Because you don't respect yourself, because you haven't forgiven yourself for the things that you've done. Right.
Yeah. And it's causing you not to believe. You don't believe you're going to live you don't believe you're going to live a long, happy, fulfilled life, because you don't believe you deserve it, because all the times you were a jerk.
Sure.
And that where you came from, and who you claim to be, but you don't really know who you are.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. Beneath all of that mistake and turmoil and emotion and bad things that have happened to you, beneath that is you.
Is me.
Is you.
And
you can choose to go find them, or you can choose to keep layering them on with all the crap. Those are the choices.
Right, right. And in case you think that you're special, either in the way of leaning towards pompous or in the way of leaning towards valueless, I'm special because I'm worse than you. I'm a bad person, or I'm special because I'm better than you. Whichever way you believe you're special, you're wrong, because I have things that are heinous about me, or that I've done, or whatever, and so do you, and so does everyone else, and that is being human.
Yeah. The search for individuation, the search for individuality, the search for yourself. Jung talks about it as our greatest opportunity to truly figure out who you are. And the cool thing is, who you are is compiled of who you were, but it doesn't mean that's who you are now. It allows you perspective, and your perspective gets to be so uniquely your own. But you don't have to bring that forward. You bring it forward subconsciously when you're not aware of it. When you are aware of it, you don't have to bring it forward. And that's the cool thing. That's the freedom part. That's the part that you were talking about. Like, you don't have to. And the parts of you that you don't want to show to the world, they're going to show up unless you address them for yourself. Once you address them for yourself, then you can choose not to show them to the world. They're still there. They're not going anywhere. You're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to, you maybe you never again act without integrity. So help you. Write me a letter. It's still going to happen, but you're going to go, okay, I don't want that to happen. I'm gonna do my best to make sure that it doesn't happen. And then when it does happen, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna acknowledge it and move on forward. So, these are the reasons to do the work. These are kind of the opportunity to do the work, how to do the work, a little bit of how to do the work. I think we very rarely, bullet point things on these type of topics, and I don't think we need to. I think through discussions like this, people will inherently find something that they relate to, resonate with, personify. And I think our audience is wise and can leave out the things that doesn't register with them. But I do believe that everybody listening to this has the opportunity to decide. Are you sitting on a thumbtack? Is it everybody else's fault? Are you just not bothered enough by it? Or do you want to just dive all in, sit on the nail for a second, jump up, acknowledge it, recognize, I seem to have the same problems across many platforms. Okay. Do some reading, do some listening, do some research, do a little bit of thought, and then slow down and be okay with whatever comes up.
Agree. I think if anything, just start to clarify your thoughts. Get some clarity around there. Get some clarity around your stance on certain subjects, whether within yourself or external to you. Other than that, you're right. There are no actionable points. In fact, I'm starting to believe that actionable advice is just the opposite of that. It's not very actionable. I can tell someone to get 100 grams of protein a day, but that doesn't tell you why. It doesn't tell you how. It doesn't allow you to figure that out. It doesn't allow you to build curiosity. It doesn't allow you to build meaning as to going about this, right? It's the same thing here. You're gonna have to suffer in the murky depths for a long time, and you're gonna have to wonder, I don't know what's next. I don't know how to do this. But if you can build some awareness and you can start to really clarify some of those thoughts, which feel highly articulate in your mind, but as soon as you go to pontificate them or write them down, you see, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Exactly. This is why you write. This is why you talk to someone. This is why you try to spend some time and clarify, because you don't know what's going on up there. It's a mess.
Yeah, heck yeah. And it's still a mess for me.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, I love it. I love these things. This for me goes into the reason why we started this podcast, right? We enjoy having these real, insightful conversations, and I take something away from every time. And I hope the audience does too. And if you did, we would love for you to like and share. Not share like hit the share button. I mean, like actually think of someone in your life that maybe would find value in this, and send it to them and ask them to spend the half an hour kind of listening open-mindedly.
Yeah, it helps us out a lot. We've recently had a little bit of traction on certain clips and stuff like that, guys. So we very much appreciate all the support, all the love, and yeah, if you could even just on Spotify give a follow. It lets us know that you're listening. I know that there's plenty of people who listen who don't necessarily follow, but that's a good metric for us to see what people like.